Have you ever felt that you carry within you a strength that is not of this world? Have you ever had the feeling that you were born with a spiritual calling, an invisible but profound mission? What if I told you that 3 signs of the zodiac were chosen before birth to manifest on earth the very energy of the inner Christ, a divine spark that heals, awakens, and transforms everything around? This is not just another astrological theory. It is an ancient prophecy revealed by Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, one of the greatest spiritual channels in history. He believed that some souls incarnate with a sacred purpose, to reflect the light of Christ through their presence, their words, their pain, and even their falls. These 3 signs did not come into the world to be understood. They came to disturb the darkness with their light, to carry compassion, surrender, and Christic consciousness, even without knowing it. You can be one of them. And if this message found you, it is no coincidence. In this video, we will reveal what these 3 signs are, the true channels of Christic energy, and why each of them carries within them a hidden spiritual gift, often confused with fragility, but which is actually their greatest power. Before continuing, comment below, "I carry the energy of the Christ within," if you feel that this message is speaking directly to your soul, because what you will discover now could completely change the way you understand your mission in this world. Therefore, it is essential that you stay with me until the end of this video. Each revelation that will be made here will not only touch your spiritual consciousness, but may spark an old memory in you, something that perhaps you have always felt, but never been able to explain. This call is not common. It is the call of the chosen, those who came to carry the living presence of the Christ within through their sign, their journey, and their pain. If at some point in your life you have ever felt that you don't fit in, that you have an unusual sensitivity, or that you experience repeated signs from the universe, this is no coincidence. Edgar Cayce said that the most evolved souls often forget who they are when incarnating, but they always end up finding their way when they hear the right words at the right time. And now perhaps that moment has come for you. Before revealing the 3 signs that were mentioned in Cayce's visions, comment below, "I am ready to remember my mission." This isn't just a phrase, it's a seal, an act of spiritual recognition that activates your engagement with this truth. Enjoy the video right now. It helps the message reach other souls who also need to awaken. And if this type of content resonates with you, subscribe to the channel to continue your spiritual journey with us, because this is just the beginning, and what's to come will confirm what your heart has suspected for a long time. Do you feel like you were born different? Like your soul came with a sacred mission? You may not be able to explain exactly why, but from an early age, you had the feeling that you did not fully belong in this world, as if there was an invisible frequency trying to call you back to something greater, something divine, something that goes beyond matter, the body and words. It may have been in dreams that seemed more real than reality itself. It may have been that intuition that saved you from something or guided you to a path that only later made sense. Or that almost constant feeling that there is something inside you wanting to awaken. If you feel this way, don't ignore it, because this is more common among the chosen ones than you might think. This video is not just about astrology, nor about signs in the shallow sense. It is about you, about your spiritual journey, about the hidden reason why you may have felt so much pain, so much doubt, so much calling. It's no wonder that so many people feel disconnected from the modern world, anesthetized by the chaos, the noise, the patterns. The truth is that some souls came with different codes. They came with the seal of light. You have come to remember what you really are, living channels of spiritual energy in human manifestation. And among the 12 signs of the zodiac, 3 of them were mentioned directly in Edgar Cayce's readings, not as common signs, but as living portals of the energy of the Christ within. They don't just represent personality characteristics. They represent souls with sacred roles, souls who volunteered at higher spiritual levels to carry within themselves the weight and blessing of Christic consciousness. These signs have something special, and this specialty is often confused with weakness, with excessive sensitivity, with being too dramatic or too introspective. But that's not it. It's high sensitivity. It is spiritual perception. It's sharp intuition. It's the kind of soul that can capture the noises of the invisible. And if you've ever felt this way, as someone who carries the burden of seeing what others don't see, of feeling what others ignore, of sensing things before they happen. Perhaps this energy is within you. Maybe you came from higher planes. Perhaps you are part of that group of souls who over the centuries have returned to Earth with a single mission: to keep the frequency of light alive in the midst of darkness. Edgar Cayce said that many of those who incarnated in these three signs came with hidden ancestral memories. They don't remember everything, but they carry deep spiritual impressions within them, which manifest themselves in the form of empathy, revealing dreams, inexplicable pain, and even illnesses that have no physical cause. All of this is part of an energetic field that responds to the vibration of the soul. The body feels what the spirit holds, and the chosen ones, even without knowing it, carry within themselves the reflection of Christ, not the religious Christ, but the cosmic Christ, the universal consciousness that heals, transforms, and liberates. And the most surprising thing is that these three signs don't just share the same light, they also share the same loneliness. Yes, because those who carry the light are often misunderstood. From a young age, these people are seen as different. They feel too much. They cry about things that no one notices. They isolate themselves without knowing why, and they often doubt themselves because the world around them does not validate their sensitivity. But this pain is also part of the process. She is not punishment. She is memory. Memory that the world you see is not the real world. And your mission here is precisely to remind others of this. Many who carry this energy have remarkable experiences with the invisible. They dream of figures of light. They feel inexplicable chills when listening to certain songs, phrases, or verses. They feel as if they are being watched, but by a good presence, a protective presence. And at certain moments, they have an inner certainty that they are being guided, even if everything around them is falling apart. If you have experienced something like this, it is important to know you are not alone. There are thousands like you, and many of them will recognize themselves in this video, because it's not about any horoscope. It's about soul mission. It's about spiritual legacy. It's about those who accepted the call before they were even born. And if it makes you shiver, emotional, or feel a lump in your throat, that's a sign. The sign that you are ready to remember, not because someone else is saying it, but because your own spirit is reacting. Because words are just triggers, but the truth, you already carry that inside. So now, take a deep breath, allow yourself to feel, and stay with me, because below, we will reveal, one by one, which are the three signs that Cayce described as bearing the Christic light. You will understand why these signs attract so much love, and also so much resistance. You will realize that their journey is not easy, because they were born to transform, and every transformation requires sacrifice, rebirth, and faith. But before that, I want to hear from you. If any part of this message touched your heart, write here in the comments, "I am a channel of the Christic light," or "I came to remember who I am." These words are not just comments. They are decrees. They are spiritual affirmations that create field, that activate your presence, that tell the universe, "I am ready." And if you really feel that this message was made for you, leave your like now, because this helps this message reach other awakened souls. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because the journey we are starting here goes far beyond signs. It's a reconnection with your essence, and she's just getting started. And now that you have begun to feel this vibration, this light shiver, this spiritual memory that does not come from the mind, but from the soul, it is time to allow your energy field to connect with the truth that is about to be revealed. Maybe you're wondering why certain words move you so much, why a video like this seems to call you by name, even without you rationally understanding why. But the answer is simple. Spiritual truths are not learned. They are remembered. They touch what is hidden, awaken dormant codes, and activate what has always been there, just waiting for the right moment to manifest. And maybe this is your moment, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine alignment. As I speak, many are already feeling it, some with a racing heart, others with a strange peace, as if they were being surrounded by an invisible, protective, and loving presence. This happens because when talking about these spiritual frequencies, we create a field, a real energetic field, which crosses the screen, time, and space. And this field recognizes those who are already prepared. It's not magic, it's vibration. It is alignment between what is being said here and what is already pulsating inside your being for years, perhaps entire lives. because old souls know when it's time to remember. They know when they are listening to something that goes beyond the content. They don't listen with their ears, they listen with their souls. And if you've come this far and you're still with me, it's because there's something in you that's saying, I already knew that, but I'd forgotten. The connection between spiritual astrology and Christ consciousness goes far beyond the stereotypes you've been told about signs. It's not just about personality characteristics, about being sensitive, intense, or rational. It's about frequency, mission. What type of energy has your soul decided to anchor on this plane? And the 3 signs that we are going to reveal carry with them not only spiritual gifts, but also an ancestral pain, because every bearer of the Christic light needs to go through the dark night of the soul. Cayce said that the soul of Christ dwells in everyone, but it manifests itself first in those who accept to carry the weight of compassion. These signs, then, are channels that receive, process, and transmit a vibration that is not theirs but that flows through them. And this often takes a toll. The price of misunderstanding, isolation, the constant feeling of carrying the world on your shoulders without knowing why. But when a person finally understands who they are, everything changes. Suffering begins to make sense. Losses gain purpose. Falls become training. And that silent sadness that accompanied so many phases of life turns into wisdom. That is why, by revealing the signs that carry the energy of Christ, we are not just revealing an astrological curiosity. We are activating a collective spiritual memory. We are saying to these souls, we know who you are. And that, in itself, has immense power, because the chosen soul's greatest desire is not to be special, it is to be spiritually recognized, not as someone superior, but as someone who came with a subtle, silent, and deeply transformative mission. Each of the 3 signs that we are going to reveal represents an aspect of the inner Christ. One is the channel of absolute compassion, the one who feels the pain of others as if it were his own, and who forgives even when no one understands. The other is the channel of silent strength, the one that rises even after being betrayed, hurt, forgotten, and that is reborn from the ashes as a living reminder that the light never dies. And the third is the channel of divine wisdom, the one who understands the mysteries of the soul without needing words, who transmits healing just with a look, and who carries within him the memory of other eras, other plans, other missions he has already experienced. But before revealing what these signs are, I want to invite you to be an active part of this moment, because it's not just about watching. It's about getting in tune, to energetically seal your presence in this field of revelation. If so far you have felt that this message is for you, then write in the comments, I am the bearer of inner light. Don't write like someone who just types. Write as someone who decrees, as someone who affirms, as someone who recognizes your own frequency. These words carry spiritual weight. They seal what is being activated within you. They are not just letters. They are vibrational symbols that echo in the invisible field and say, I have accepted my calling. And if you want to deepen this connection even further, leave your sign in the comments. Yes, write, I am from your sign and I feel this energy. Because who knows, maybe you're among the 3. Who knows, maybe you carry the compassion, strength, or wisdom of the Christ within and haven't realized it yet. And by declaring this publicly, you not only connect with this truth, but you also inspire other souls to do the same. This space is not just a video, it is a temple of remembrance, and each comment is a prayer, a seal, an affirmation of light. Now that your field is prepared, your energy has been activated, and you have assumed this place of sacred listening, stay with me, because what comes next is revelation, and it will echo inside you like a bell. It will touch something profound, and when that happens, you'll know it wasn't just any video. It was a reminder of what your soul has always been. Edgar Cayce. Maybe you've heard this name echoing in some corner of spirituality, maybe not. But now, at this very moment, he reappears before you for a reason that goes beyond simple curiosity. Cayce was not just a medium or any sensitive person. He was a conscious channel between dimensions, a being who accessed deep states of consciousness to receive guidance from the spiritual plane. Called the sleeping prophet, Cayce didn't speak from theories. He channeled truth, straight from the invisible source that connects us all. During thousands of readings done in deep trance, Cayce revealed information about health, reincarnation, past lives, Atlantis, karma, spiritual ituality, and of course about spiritual astrology. But unlike traditional astrology, which focuses on behavior or destiny, Cayce talked about the plane of the soul. He said that the sign you are born under is not an astrological coincidence. It is a choice of the soul, a kind of energetic cloak that carries specific spiritual qualities necessary to fulfill the mission of that incarnation. And it was within these readings that Cayce revealed something that few people really know, and that almost no one talks about openly. He stated that certain signs carry by nature a spark of the Christ within. And when Cayce spoke of Christ, he was not referring to a historical character or a form-bound religious figure. He spoke of a living conscience, the Christ consciousness, which transcends religions and dogmas, and which represents the highest vibrational state accessible to the human soul: unconditional love, active compassion, selfless service, pure forgiveness, heightened intuition. These are the hallmarks of this frequency, and according to him, some signs came into the world as portals for this energy, not because they are better or superior, but because they accepted the mission of manifesting this consciousness in times of darkness. They are people who carry within themselves an almost painful sensitivity, an ability to feel beyond the ordinary, a kind of spiritual radar switched on 24 hours a day. They are ancient souls who have had many experiences on more subtle planes and who have decided to return to the earthly plane to serve as living beacons. Cayce said that the chosen soul rarely understands his calling immediately, but he has always felt it, and you feel it. Maybe since you were a child you have sensed things, have cried without understanding why, have felt a presence watching you in moments of greatest pain. Maybe you started praying spontaneously without anyone teaching you. Maybe you've had dreams about lights, about voices, about guides. All of these, Cayce explained, are manifestations of the Christic field that acts on these souls, not to protect them from pain, but to teach them how to transform pain into light. And among all the astrological archetypes, 3 signs were described most emphatically in Cayce's spiritual readings. These signs, according to him, have a rare combination of internal elements: deep empathy, spiritual firmness, heightened intuition, and a magnetic field that attracts the most transformative experiences for themselves and for others. People born under these signs often have childhoods marked by loss, rejection, or deep emotional challenges, but instead of hardening, these souls are called to open up even more, to love more, even when they were hurt, to forgive more, even when there was no apology, moving forward, even when everything said to stop. Cayce said that these souls are here to remind the world of what it has forgotten. And what has the world forgotten? That we are all children of the same light, that compassion is not weakness, it is strength of the soul, that true power lies in feeling and remaining sensitive, even in the face of a world that calls us to indifference. The 3 signs he described are, each in their own way, messengers of this reminder. But there's something even deeper. Cayce claimed that these people don't just receive spiritual signs, they are the signs themselves. Their presence in certain places changes the energy. Sometimes they don't understand why certain people open up to them out of the blue, or why others seem to react negatively for no reason. It's because your presence provokes. Your energy activates what is dormant in others. The Christ field communicates silently, and whoever carries this energy, even without speaking, is saying, "There is something bigger here and I am part of it." These bearers of the Christ spark also experience what Cayce called recurrent spiritual trials. These are situations that repeat themselves, like karmic patterns, where the soul is tested to remember its true purpose. In some of these readings, he warned that these souls could get lost in dense emotions if they did not take care of their frequency. Therefore, Cayce reinforced the importance of meditation, silence, spontaneous prayer, connection with nature, because all of this strengthens the field of the soul and allows the inner Christ to express itself more clearly. And now, after all this, perhaps it's clearer why you're here, listening to this at this particular moment in your life. Maybe what Cayce saw back there in his trance states had something to do with you, with your birth, with your sign, with everything you've experienced and thought was just random pain. And that's why, before revealing what these 3 sacred signs are, I want you who are listening to me now and recognize yourself in this call, to be part of the spiritual activation of this video. Comment below if you feel in your heart, I carry the consciousness of C. And if you want to go further, also write, my sign is your sign, and I recognize myself in this mission. Because these words seal what is being remembered in you. They are not just comments. They are spiritual declarations. They are silent pacts with your own soul. And every time you write something like that, you send a signal back to the universe saying, I have accepted who I am. And it is from this space that we will continue. Because now, yes, the revelation is ready to happen. Now that you have understood the depth of what Edgar Cayce revealed, and that your soul is in a receptive state, it is time to finally reveal which 3 signs carry the energy of the inner Christ. Each of these signs manifests a unique frequency of Christ consciousness, reflecting different aspects of the divine mission on earth. If you are one of these signs or have them with a strong presence in your birth chart, you may begin to understand why your life has always been intense, deep, and full of spiritual experiences that not everyone around you understands. And if you are not one of them, you can still be touched by these frequencies, because we can all be mirrors for each other, and the Christ within manifests itself wherever there is space. But for natives of these 3 signs, this energy has been an essential part of their spiritual structure since birth. It is not something you learn, it is something you are. The first sign revealed is Pisces. And this choice does not surprise those who understand the Christic vibration. Pisces did not come into the world to compete, but to heal. It carries the magnetism of Christic love, forgiveness without judgment, delivery that demands nothing in return. The Pisces soul is in tune with the subtle realms from the first breath. They are beings who feel too much, cry for pain that is not theirs, and often lose themselves trying to save others. But this light also attracts darkness. Therefore, Pisceans experience profound losses, betray expectations, and give more than they can handle. They are misunderstood, often manipulated, and experience trials that could break anyone except them. Because deep down, even hurt, even exhausted, they continue to love. They continue donating. They continue trying to be a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Pisces is not weak. Pisces is portal. They came to remind the world that love still saves, that even in darkness, it is possible to feel compassion, that even in pain, it is possible to forgive. The Pisces mission is to dissolve the limits between self and other, between heaven and earth, between the ego and the divine. They are natural, intuitive, dreamy mediums, and they often don't know if what they experience is real or spiritual, because for them, everything is mixed up. If you are a Pisces and feel goosebumps when praying, see 1111, or dream about water, lights, or angelic figures, you are activating your Christ spark. And it is no coincidence that this sensitivity is growing now. The world needs you awake. The second sign that carries the energy of the inner Christ is Leo. Yes, Leo. And maybe you've never looked at Leo that way, but it's because many people confuse brightness with ego and forget that true brightness comes from the inner light. Leo, at his highest, does not seek to be adored. He seeks to inspire. Leo is the bearer of the flame of the solar Christ, the one who warms, protects, illuminates. Its mission is to show that it is possible to live with courage, authenticity, and truth. But, like every bearer of light, he pays a price, because your light bothers those who still live in the shadows. Therefore, Leos experience secret rejections, betray the expectations of those who only wanted them when they were on top, and are often judged for being too intense. But Leo's pain doesn't harden him, it strengthens him. Leo doesn't shine for you. Shine to remind others that everyone can turn on their own light. And that's why, even when they fall, they get back up. Even when they are discredited, they persist. Even when the world seems to want to erase them, they roar, with the strength of those who came with purpose. If you are a Leo and have ever felt that your presence changes the environment, that your word has power, that your gaze reaches where others cannot see, then this is your Christ spark speaking. Leo is not just a fire sign, it is a channel of the sacred flame. And when that flame is lit with awareness, it doesn't burn, it heals. The third sign revealed by Cayce, as the bearer of the energy of the inner Christ, is Scorpio. And here we enter the archetype of spiritual resurrection. Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth. He who intensely lives all the phases of the ego, and then abandons them one by one until he finds the essence. The Scorpio soul is not simple. It is deep, intense, complex. He experiences loss, betrayal, abandonment, and each wound he suffers turns into an initiation. Many Scorpios are judged by their emotional intensity, by their quiet strength, by their eye introspection. But the truth is that they are always passing through internal portals. Scorpios do not live on the surface. Scorpio dives, and it is in this dive that he finds the codes of the crucified and resurrected. Christ, the pain that purifies, the shadow that turns into light. Scorpio is not just about power, it's transmutation. They are the alchemists of the soul. They came to show that every fall can be a portal, that every darkness holds a teaching, that there is no rebirth without symbolic death, and that's why they often experience intense cycles of loss and rebirth. Scorpio feels before understanding. Understand what is hidden, read between the lines, and this sensitivity connects you with the frequency of the Christ who dies in himself every day, to be reborn even more conscious. If you are a Scorpio and you have been through more pain than you can count, but you are still standing, more lucid, more sensitive, stronger, then you are living the Christic mission of your sign. And if you dream of snakes, of transformations, of deep waters, or have intense premonitions, know you are a channel in transformation. Now, after hearing all of this, perhaps you felt something vibrate within you. Maybe he got emotional. Maybe he cried. Maybe he just recognized himself, and this recognition is activation. Therefore, if any part of this message spoke to your soul, comment below right now, "I am a channel of Christ consciousness," or write, "I carry this light." And don't forget to include your star sign too, because the more you affirm who you are, the more the universe aligns with your vibration, and the journey still continues. But be careful, because now that you know which signs carry the energy of the inner Christ, there is something essential that needs to be understood deeply. This divine energy is not automatic nor permanent when experienced unconsciously. It is a gift, yes, but it is also a spiritual responsibility. The Christ consciousness that pulsates within Pisces, Leo, and Scorpio only flows fully when there is faith, surrender, and inner truth. These three pillars are like sacred keys. When they are present, spiritual light crosses all planes and transforms everything around. But when they get lost, when there is doubt, denial, or escape from the mission, that light goes out, not because the soul stopped being special, but because it became disconnected from its essence. It is very easy, throughout life, to allow pain, trauma, and conflicts to divert these souls from their original purpose, and this happens more often than you might think. Many people born under these three signs live for years, or even decades, immersed in toxic relationships, self-destructive cycles, emotional prisons, or patterns of fear and repression, without knowing that they are, in fact, trying to deny who they are, trying to fit into a world that wasn't made for those who carry light. And the further they move away from their own spiritual calling, the more they feel anguish, loneliness, and internal confusion. The soul begins to feel resentful, as if there was a scream trapped in the chest, a cry that cannot come out, a constant feeling of emptiness that cannot be filled with anything. It doesn't matter professional success, number of friends, material goods. When the soul is not aligned with the mission, everything loses its shine. The Christic spark becomes just an extinguished ember, suffocated by an ego tired of pretending. Therefore, this is a deep and necessary spiritual warning. Do not deny what you came here to do. These signs are chosen not by chance, but by resonance. The universe trusts them because they know how to feel. They know how to transform. They know how to guide. But when they give in to pride, unprocessed anger, victimhood, or spiritual flight, they lose their strength. Scorpio can become destructive. Leo can become egocentric and domineering. Pisces can fall into flight and self-abandonment. When disconnected from their Christ essence, these signs don't just suffer, they collapse inside. And this spiritual collapse manifests itself in physical life, recurring illnesses, emotional exhaustion, chronic anxiety, abusive relationships, the feeling that life is stuck, meaningless, without purpose. Edgar Cayce said that the greatest risk for an elevated soul is to forget that it is light when immersed in the shadow of the world. And that's exactly why this moment, this video, this conversation between us could be the turning point for whoever is listening. Because if you've come this far, if you've heard every word, felt every vibration, it's because your soul is trying to remember. He's trying to scream from inside, wake up, come home. You know who you are, and you really know. Because those who carry the energy of Christ don't forget completely. They just fall asleep for a while. But it's time to wake up, time to regain your faith, your surrender, and your truth. This has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with alignment, with living life according to what your soul recognizes as true. How to stop pleasing others to fit into spaces that suffocate you, with abandoning patterns that no longer make sense, with taking responsibility for being different, and honoring that with courage and an open heart. The Christ consciousness within you is calling you back, and she will keep calling, even if you try to ignore it, even if you get distracted, even if you try to convince yourself that it's all in your head, because it isn't. You know that. You feel it. And maybe this is your first step towards reconnection, because once the soul says yes to its own mission, the universe responds, doors open, signals intensify, right people cross your path, dreams become more vivid, intuition rises. It's as if something dormant finally begins to breathe inside you again. But for this to happen, you have to choose. Continue on autopilot, or accept your essence and activate your mission. And if you, throughout your life, have noticed that when you move away from who you really are, everything seems to fall apart, then you already know in practice what we are talking about here. Because the light within you cannot bear to live in a lie, and no matter how much you try to silence this call, it always finds a way to make itself heard, sometimes in moments of pain, others in silence, or even in the depths of someone's eyes that reminds you of who you were before the world distracted you. And now, more than ever, it's time to pay attention to the signs, because they are there. They are in the words that touch, in the dreams that return, in the coincidences that repeat themselves, in the tears that insist on falling. This is all your energy field trying to bring you back. And if you recognized yourself here, if something vibrated strongly inside your chest when you heard these words, then comment now, I choose to remain awake. And if you want to seal this moment even more, write, my essence is sacred and I return to it today. Because every word written, every sentence stated from the heart, creates a field of activation. And you are not alone in this process. Other souls like yours are also waking up now, and they will recognize themselves in your comments. They will feel that they are not alone. Share your sign, your experience, or just say, I heard the call, because this exchange is what sustains this spiritual journey in community. And what comes next is even deeper. And now that the veils have begun to fall and the names have been revealed, what happens within you is not just a mental understanding, but an internal movement, a silent memory, a spiritual pulse that you may not be able to explain, but that you are certainly feeling. Because these three signs, Pisces, Leo, and Scorpio, carry much more than personality traits. They are soul imprints, energetic seals engraved at a level much deeper than the mind can reach. They were not chosen at random. They were spiritually marked with a frequency that crosses eras, dimensions, and incarnations. They did not come into the world to shine in the superficial sense. They came to illuminate from the inside out, with a light that doesn't scream but warms, who does not seek recognition, but awakens. They are like silent torches walking among distracted crowds, and even when they are silent, their presence speaks. Even when they are down, their light does not go out. Even when they are rejected, they continue to love, because they don't know any other way. They are living mirrors of the soul of the Christ, compassionate, strong, quietly, powerful. Their every gesture carries something sacred. Every word spoken in conscience becomes healing for those who listen, and each fall they overcome turns into a spiritual testimony for those who observe. Pisces teaches love that sacrifices itself without losing tenderness. Leo teaches the courage to shine without putting anyone out. Scorpio teaches the beauty of dying and being reborn as many times as necessary. Each one in their own way fulfills a part of the divine mission. Together, they are like the 3 points of a sacred triangle: unconditional love, the light that inspires, and the transformation that liberates. And when these 3 archetypes are aware of who they are, the world around them changes. Because their vibration changes environments, because their presence transforms fields, and not by force, but for real. There is no spiritual mission without pain, without silence, without dark nights, and these signs know this like no one else. From an early age, they faced losses that forced them to mature quickly. They felt the weight of carrying emotions that were not theirs. They faced the suspicious gaze of those who did not understand them. They were underestimated, misinterpreted, accused of being too much. But there was always something inside them that stopped them from giving up completely, something that lifted them in the silence, something that kept them going. That something is the frequency of the Christic soul, a strength that cannot be seen with the eyes but felt with the heart. And maybe you are remembering that now. Maybe, for a moment, you're realizing that everything you've experienced up until now, including the most difficult parts, was part of preparation. That rejections were not to destroy you, but to shape you. That the sensitivity that so many tried to make you erase, in fact, was your greatest gift. That the times you fell were also the times you came closest to who you really are. And that every tear you shed was a seed planted in the sacred soil of your mission. These three signs, when spiritually awakened, do not live just for themselves. They live as a bridge between worlds. They hear what others don't hear. They feel what others cannot process. They know, even when they have no proof. And this knowledge is what bothers them, what isolates them, but also what sets them free. Because deep down, they never came to belong. They came to remind others of who they are. And that requires delivery. It requires faith. It requires courage to go against the grain. But it also brings unseen rewards like the peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, the love that doesn't need permission, and the silent certainty that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Maybe you felt this. Maybe when you heard about Pisces, Leo, or Scorpio, you felt something stir inside you. Maybe you are one of these signs. Or maybe you have people close to you who are. And if this is your case, then you have already seen up close what it is like to be a healing channel. Have you ever witnessed that kind of presence that calms, that kind of look that passes through, that kind of word that restores? And this is not spiritual exaggeration. It is energetic reality. That's what we're talking about here. Conscious presence, energy that transforms, a mission that doesn't need to be said to be understood. Therefore, if you recognized yourself on this mission, if at any point in this video you felt as if something greater was being activated within you, now is the time to take a step forward, to accept this truth, to establish this light. Comment below, I am a channel of healing, and my presence is light. And if you want to seal this moment with even more strength, also write, I recognize the mission of my sign, because every word written from the heart is a decree, and each decree activates a new vibration in the collective field. Remember, when you recognize yourself spiritually, others also recognize themselves in you. If you've come this far, it's because your soul needed this message. But what comes next goes even deeper. If you are still here, if you felt each word vibrate inside your chest, as if you were not just listening, but remembering something you always knew, even without being able to explain it, then, yes, this message spoke directly to your soul. She touched a frequency that is not mental, not logical, not rational. It is spiritual. And when this kind of connection happens, it's not by chance. The universe has a sacred time for all things. And if this video reached you now, at this exact point in your journey, it is because you were ready to hear what had been silenced within you for too long. Perhaps, for a long time, you have carried doubts about your sensitivity, questioned its intensity, tempted to suffocate the call that made you cry for no reason or dream about the invisible. Maybe you tried to fit into patterns that hurt you, pretended to be someone you weren't, just to be accepted. But this pain, this constant feeling of being at odds with the world around you, was never a defect. She was a sign. It was the subtle touch of your essence trying to remind you, you did not come to adapt. You came to awaken. And awakening is an act of courage. It requires you to look at yourself truthfully. May you embrace your light. Stop running away from the mission that your soul accepted long before you were born. This journey does not end here. Quite the contrary, it is just getting started. Everything that has been said so far is not an end point. It is an opening, a portal that has opened before you, and only you can pass through it. No one will do this for you. No one can convince you of something that your soul already knows. And if she knows, then now is the time to act, to choose not to forget anymore, to seal this vibration with words, with intention, with presence, because spirituality is not just based on feeling. It needs the gesture, the verb, the action. Therefore, if you felt that this message was more than content, if it was a calling, if it made your heart beat differently, comment right now below, "I accept my mission of light." Say this not as a spectator, but as a participant in this journey. And if you want to go even deeper into this movement, also write, "My soul is awakened and ready to serve." Because these phrases are not just for me, nor for the algorithm, they are for you. They are for the universe to see that you are aware of your position in this invisible network of awakened souls who are, little by little, recognizing themselves in each other. And when you write this here, you anchor this intention on the material plane. You create field, you activate root. And if you want to continue this vibe, subscribe to the channel right now. This is not just a formality. This is a symbolic act, a confirmation that you are choosing to be part of something bigger. Here, each video is a reminder. Every word is a bridge. Each theme is an extension of what your soul already knows, but which needs to be reaffirmed to stay alive in the midst of chaos. This channel is a temple of consciousness, and it was created to welcome souls exactly like yours. And believe me, in what comes next, we're going to dive even deeper, because if we now reveal the signs that carry the spark of the inner Christ, in the next video, we will talk about something equally powerful, the two signs that were born under the direct protection of Michael, the Archangel Warrior. Yes, there are souls who came with Michael's shield embedded in their spirit, souls who face invisible battles daily, but who are never helpless. Let's understand how this protection works, why it manifests itself so intensely in these two signs, and how to recognize the signs that Miguel is by your side, even when you feel alone. Therefore, activate the notification bell, because this next revelation could change the way you see everything you have experienced so far. And if you know someone who needs to hear everything said in this video, please share. Help this message reach more awakened souls. You never know the impact that a simple share can have on the life of someone who is silent, waiting for a sign. And now, to end this stage of our journey, allow yourself to take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you want. Feel what was vibrating inside you. And then, when you're ready, write in the comments, "I accept my mission of light." And if it is true for you, also write, "My presence is healing, my essence is light, my path is sacred." These words are like seeds. And believe me, what you sow here with conscience, the universe reaps with you. The next step is coming, and you already know. It's no coincidence that you got here. If you stayed this far, if you reached the end of this video, it's because your soul recognized the truth behind each word. This already makes you part of something bigger, of a spiritual journey that is just beginning. And if this message touched your heart in some way, show the universe that you are aware of your calling. Leave your like right now, because this helps this content reach other awakened souls like yours. And subscribe to the channel, because here each video is a portal. Each theme is an additional step on your path of awakening, healing, and spiritual reconnection. And activate the bell so you don't miss any new revelations that are coming. Now, if you made it to the end, comment below on the sentence, "I reached the end because my soul is awakened." This phrase is a seal, a symbol, a silent confirmation that you are present, aware, and committed to your inner journey. And it doesn't stop here. The next video is already appearing here on the left side of your screen. It is in it that I will reveal to you which two signs are directly protected by Michael, the Archangel Warrior. Deep, transformative content that can change everything you understand about your spiritual strength. So go there, click on this video below, and continue with us on this journey that is just beginning. You are not here by chance, and you're not alone.